Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Purina believes no one should have to make the impossible choice between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
Big news. Sephora is now on Uber Eats. So if you find yourself facing a beauty emergency, like needing a last-minute gift, or you're just out of your favorite mascara, again, don't panic. We got you. Order now and get $10 off on Sephora orders of $50 or more on the Uber Eats app. Order now. Offer ends October 30th. One order per customer. Additional terms apply. See app for availability. Delivery fees may apply.
Talk about a Saturday night news dump, huh, guys?
Jesus. Look, I am nothing less than staggered by this whole thing. I didn't even know you could do that. I didn't know you could, in a settlement between two parties, bring in a third party. It was like ESPN was the third team trying to make a trade happen. We'll take on that salary right here. That's crazy.
But the salary right here is Michael Jordan in his prime.
Well, some might say even a little past his prime, but
okay.
For those that don't know, basically, NBA was selling the TV rights deals. ESPN ABC keeps their share, but then Turner Sports, which is owned by Warner Brothers Discovery, loses their bid to a combination of NBC and Amazon. Now, because the contract that Warner Brothers Discovery has a right of first refusal, they said, well, we'll match, but we want to match the cheaper package, which is the Amazon package, rather than the NBC package, which more closely mirrors what the Turner offering. The league says, hey, this isn't like regular restricted free agency where you just match it and that's it, as long as you match the dollar amount. You have to match the terms of the agreement. And the terms of the Amazon agreement are written very specifically for a digital product, not for terrestrial, not for linear television like the NBC one is. The NBA basically said, hey, if you want to match, you can match NBC because that's what you guys do. And Warner Discovery was like, well, no, we can match whichever package is out there that you're giving to a new entity. So they sued them. They sued them for breach of contract. Well, the news this weekend is that lawsuit has been settled, and there's a lot of stuff in there about like territorial rights outside of North America.
Yeah, the Nordics. The Nordics get global NBA rights, or at least TNT can now distribute games globally to Scandinavia.
Yes.
Think of them. Finland.
And all of Latin America other than Mexico and Brazil.
Right, sure.
But then the biggest news piece of this all is that inside the NBA, as a totality, not Chuck, Ernie, Kenny, Shaq, but the whole show with production, with behind-the-scenes people, is going to be broadcast and distributed by ESPN ABC. They won't have anything to do with the making of this show. They'll just hit a button and now it's on live. They don't even have to move out of Atlanta. They're going to still use those studios in Atlanta. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the biggest upsets of the year in basketball.
Is this like the Avengers getting Spider-Man from Sony, but Sony still gets to keep their rights to Spider-Man?
Yes, kind of, because the whole idea is that, hey, we like Spider-Man, but we don't want Sony to make the Spider-Man movies because you're going to suck at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the same way, hey, ESPN, I don't want you to have Inside the NBA because you're going to suck at making it. You're going to ruin it. I tell people all the time, man, I worked there. Tom, you and I both worked there.
Mm-hmm.
It was not a secret. They would literally say, how do we get our Inside the NBA? That was the North Star. And what they couldn't understand is like, you could never have that show because you guys don't have any of the production inclinations to be able to make a show like that. An example I would give is like, if you gave them those 4 guys, Bristol's now producing it, what would happen is like, all right, cool. 30 seconds in, we have a commercial break we got to get to.
Yeah.
And there'd be 8 million commercial breaks. And then in the little extended time they get to talk, Shaq would make some sort of joke and everybody would laugh and they get sidetracked and the producer would be in their ear, guys, move on to B7. And then in the break, they talk about, oh, that joke probably wasn't in great taste. I don't think we should have that anymore. They can't help themselves. They only know how to make an ESPN show, which was why they could never make Inside the NBA.
What I found interesting in this deal is ESPN just came out of nowhere and was like, I'm going to upgrade our game coverage. And it looks like they're going to get NBA Finals too. The NBA Finals is going to be presented by Shaq, Charles, Ernie, and Kenny. And like you said, not just the personnel, but the entire production group is going to broadcast the finals. So you lose JJ Redick, you lose Doc Rivers. The NBA Finals roster at ESPN goes through all this upheaval year in, year out. But now they can kind of be like, hey, we've got this show, Charles, Kenny, Shaq, and Ernie.
This is a massive win for ESPN, the type of win that they used to get in their own way of. Just let them cook. Finally, someone over there is like, you know what? Yeah, let's just let them cook. Who cares if we make it or not? As long as they stay hands off, they just pay money and flip a switch, I think it's going to be wildly successful. The question is, how do all the ESPN people feel? And I start with Malika Andrews, because I'm fairly sure Malika's contract says I get to host the NBA Finals coverage.
Unless Shaq wants to. That was the contract language.
Now what you going to do, Mr. Statistician Face Man?
You want to go back. This was the whole Maria Taylor, Rachel Nichols thing. That was the falsehood that I think people in Bristol tried to spread, was that Rachel somehow was racist and thought that Maria had nothing to do with Maria. She said it herself, like, Maria's incredibly talented, deserves everything coming to her. But I have a contract that says I'm supposed to host the NBA Finals, and just because you guys are having a fire sale on moral compass at Bristol because of what happened summer of 2020 does not mean you get to rip this away from me and give it to someone else for the optics of we're a place that cares about equality. So now here we are, 4 years later, 5 years later, I guess by the time the finals run around, and what have they done? They've ripped it from a black woman to give it back to, ostensibly, a white guy and 3 former players. It's the most ESPN thing ever.
It's a conspiracy.
I think we're really bearing the lead here that Charles Barkley is unretiring. I know he said he was unretiring in August, that he's going to be back, but it really ends what I think is a long saga that dates back to June, right? I mean, it's only so many months since Charles Barkley said he was going to retire and never do the NBA again after his contract runs out with TNT in a year.
Which everybody knew wasn't going to happen.
Why? Why, Maze? Why?
The only thing that was surprising about this was how quickly we've changed the retirement plans. It happened less than a month into the regular season. We thought this was going to be all next summer, trying to figure out who was going to be vying for Charles Barkley's services. Is it going to be NBC? Is it going to be Amazon? Are they going to bring the whole gang together? No, we solved it already. It's already been canceled.
Charles Barkley walked so that Tom Brady could run. That's really what it comes down to. If you look at Charles Barkley's history with retiring, none of this is a surprise. He has said time and time again from the NBA since 1993, after losing the NBA Finals to Michael and the Bulls, every year for like the next 5 years, Charles Barkley threatened to retire from the NBA game, whether it was because of bar fights or injuries or just love of the game. He was tired of it. And then ever since 2012, Charles Barkley has threatened to retire from broadcasting. Did it in 2012, 2014, 2022, and then recently this summer. And so when he retired, quote unquote, during the NBA Finals this past year, I remember seeing Twitter being like, yeah, we should give Charles Barkley his flowers when it's all said and done. But we've been down this road before.
So you guys will be happy to hear this story because this is a story that happened before Basketball Illuminati was relaunched, right? This is during the NBA Finals.
Right.
I go to a very popular sushi place in Dallas. I walk in and who do I see? It's Charles Barkley and he's holding court. He beckons me over and he says, I'm buying drinks. What are you drinking? He starts talking very quickly about everything that's happening as far as Turner's losing and stuff. Now, there's some Turner execs there, and they're telling Charles, and Charles like, oh, Amin's cool or whatever.
It's fine.
So he's telling me about all the offers he has from NBC, from ESPN, from Amazon. And he told them, don't talk to me if it comes south of 25 a year. Don't even bother picking up the phone. And he said, I said this because I was just trying to like get him off my back. They are like, yeah, we're good. So he's like, oh, shit. So now I have to actually hear it out. One of the things he's talking about was how bad he felt for everybody who's working on inside, you know. He moves on, they're going to be left out. So he talked about, I'm thinking about giving everyone like a lump sum of cash. Everyone who worked on the show, a significant lump sum of cash.
Yeah.
Not $100 or whatever, not a gift card. We're talking about a lot of money. So I said, Charles, that's great. And I think everybody would appreciate it. But you know what I think they would appreciate more? If you told whatever company that wants to hire you, I'm only coming if you bring all my people with me.
Are you saying that you...
Third eye open.
You're the matchmaker here.
Keep your third eye open, buddy.
Wow. The kingmaker.
Y'all know my number one priority is to keep people working at Turner. That's always been my number one priority. So even if we do something, a lot of people at Turner going to keep their job.
Hey, everyone. Hey, basketball. Hey, television. Hey, Emmys. You're all welcome.
My assignment: uncover why the association inspires more conspiracy theories in volume and salience than any other U.S. sport.
You've heard of the Illuminati.
The truth is out there, but so are lies.
Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them.
The NBA has always been controlled by about 8 people.
Denial is the most predictable of all human responses.
If you're only using 10% of your brain, you don't even know that you're using 10% of your brain.
The NBA Illuminati.
If coincidences are just coincidences, why do they feel so contrived?
The Illuminati.
But you start to follow the money, and you don't know where the it's going to take you.
It is unspoken. They have influence among other players.
The NBA Illuminati.
I don't have time for your convenient ignorance.
Maybe I'm a conspiracist now as well.
That's all it took. Oh, we got books, we got schools. You saw a video on YouTube.
Why my eyes, sir? You've never used them before.
We are the Basketball Illuminati.
This is Basketball Illuminati. I am Tom Haberstroh, and as always, I am joined by the 5-star Illuminati generals Amin Elhassan and producer Anthony Mays.
Basketball Illuminati is now a Count the Dings production. You can support us making this show at patreon.com/countthedings. You'll get this episode ad-free. You'll get it a little early, plus all the bonus content on the Count the Dings network. Also, many of you have been asking, and I'm pleased to report that Basketball Illuminati merch is now available once again. You can click the link in the show notes, or you can go to bit.ly/all-caps-CTD merch. It's our store on Cotton Bureau, Third Eye hats, Basketball Illuminati logo, shirts, and hoodies, and limited edition Basketball Illuminati merch coming soon.
We are going to talk to Brandon Payne later in the episode. That is the trainer of Stephen Curry, a returnee.
Yeah, one of my favorite truth tellers.
A longtime guest on the show.
He tells it how it is. And you know what he does, man? I like how he pulls back the curtain, which is what we're really big on here, pulling back curtains.
The Warriors are off to a ridiculous start. Steph Curry, I argued last week, he is the best offensive player since Michael Jordan. I'm curious what Brandon Payne would say to that. He's known and trained Stephen Curry over the last decade while being raised as a UNC Tar Heel fan, like super fan of the Tar Heels, and worships at the altar of Michael Jordan. I'm curious about how it all lands with him. So we're going to talk to him about the state of affairs, not just with Steph, but I think the NBA about a month into the season here. But first,
you are listening to The Agenda with Amin Elhassan and Tom Haberstroh.
I'm really excited to talk about this topic today because I don't think anywhere else is covering this story like we are. And that's why you rate, review, subscribe to Basketball Illuminati. Tell all your friends, tell the group chat, tell your neighbors, tell the people at Whole Foods. Go listen to Basketball Illuminati because what we're going to talk about today, I haven't seen anywhere. And Maze has been connecting the dots behind the scenes. My third eye, I thought it was wide open. I mean, until we met as a group before the show. And now I feel like all three eyes were closed on this story.
Tom, I think you need to be a little bit more specific. I'm not sure I know what you're talking about.
The referees this past weekend, the referees.
Bunch of missed calls. Is that any different from any other weekend?
This feels like something bigger. I don't know quite what exactly is happening behind the scenes, but I do know that not all of it is obvious to the naked eye. Even if you had all three eyes open, you would not be able to see what happened in a November 10th game. Maze, why don't you take the floor here?
So last week in our Do You Believe segment, we wondered if you guys believed in the Bucks. And we mentioned, Damian Lillard concussed.
Yeah.
But we didn't point out how he got concussed.
Wait, how does one get concussed?
Head trauma, right?
Makes a play, gets hit on the head, maybe he ran into a screen.
Lots of collisions in the NBA.
Yeah, it's basketball.
Damian Lillard going to the basket. No. And this was extremely hard to track down because there is no video footage of this event.
This is wild to me. When you mentioned this, I was like, yeah, I haven't seen the film of the injury when Damian Lillard got concussed. And yet it's one of the biggest stars in the NBA, and one of the biggest stories in the NBA is the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo and all the trade rumors swirling around him. How is this not something that I knew about? And you're pointing out that, hey, there's a reason why you haven't seen the film.
Chris Haynes reported that Damian Lillard received a hit to the head near the end of the third quarter.
Right.
At the end of the third quarter, there's a play, Payton Pritchard going to the basket. Referee waves off the shot because it was after the shot clock. And it turns out when he's waving off the shot, that's when he made contact with Damian Lillard's head.
Wait, no. I'm watching the film here. I don't see a referee waving off a shot.
That's right, Tom. You don't see it because it's off camera and there's no other angles. We don't have additional camera angles of this referee waving his arms, making contact with Damian Lillard. He's at the top of the keys near half court. Didn't happen on camera. So we have to go to live accounts of people at the game saying that they saw it to confirm that Dame Lillard was hit by a referee.
Whoa. So Dame gets hit in the head by a referee, gets concussed by it, is out now at least a week due to this concussion, being in the concussion protocol. The news is reported Damian Lillard suffers a concussion at the end of the third quarter. It's not reported where the concussion came from. And adding intrigue to this, there is no video evidence. Dare I say there is not a more photographed place in the world than an NBA court with a zillion camera angles.
That referees use, by the way. Referees use that in replay reviews. How many different angles?
It's a place called Secaucus. Did the league have? The league must have said, hey, this happened. Our bad, right?
Well, part of the reason why this didn't get as much coverage is because Damian Lillard continued to play in that game. He played in the fourth quarter after the hit by the referee, inadvertent hit by the referee that was not on camera, but off camera. The Bucks lost by 6 points, and Damian Lillard in that final frame was -8 while on the floor, missing all of his shots, being held scoreless in that fourth quarter. And I had to go back and watch the film to see who was the referee. And guys, I have some news for you. If you were to catch an elbow to the dome by a referee, you don't want it to be this referee.
Kevin Cutler?
That's a good one. Yeah. Probably a top 3 pick on this.
Yeah.
Eric Dalen is his name. Eric Dalen is not a well-known referee because he's never refereed in the NBA Finals. He's not a Tony Brothers, a Scott Foster, John Goebel.
Right.
But what he is a former tight end at Minnesota.
Holy shit.
He's 6'7". His son is 6'9" and playing big-time high school basketball. Eric Dalen, he's huge. As big as anybody in the league. When it comes to refereeing, you don't want to catch an elbow from this guy.
So you're telling me, Tom, that Dame Lillard in a basketball game got hit by a football player and got a concussion?
Yeah, I am saying that.
There are no mistakes, no coincidences.
So you're the Milwaukee Bucks. You already have Chris Middleton out with a bilateral ankle surgery recovery. Both ankles are being repaired. They thought he was going to be ready for the start of the season, and he isn't really ready for 5-on-5 work. And then suddenly, while you're going through the tailspin of the season in the opening month, you lose Damian Lillard because of a concussion as a result of a hit by a referee. So you're already, Maze, you're already annoyed by the situation, annoyed that this had to happen, and it had to happen at the hand of an NBA referee.
The Bucks had a tough week.
Sure did.
It started with this off-camera Dame concussion.
Takeout.
Then on Wednesday, they defeated the Pistons 127-120 in OT. Okay, they won.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Detroit's Ron Holland II was fouled by Giannis with 1 second left in regulation and the score tied at 111. But Ron Holland missed both free throws. In the last 2-minute report for the game, the NBA said Giannis cleanly blocked Holland during his shot attempt at the rim, and any ensuing contact is incidental. The foul call is incorrect. So they dodged a bullet on that one. They won in overtime. Then on Saturday, LaMelo Ball fouled, 7.3 seconds left, hits the go-ahead free throws to go ahead 115-114. But in the pool report conducted with crew chief Curtis Blair following the game, he said that Giannis was called for illegal leg-to-leg contact. During post-game review, when they looked at the play, there was no illegal contact on the play. When asked if the call had been challenged, because Milwaukee didn't have a challenge at the time, Blair confirmed that the call would have been overturned. After this week, Doc Rivers had had enough, and he was fined $25,000 by the NBA for these comments.
I thought the final play was the ref blowing a call. This is back-to-back games now, where on the final play, there's been an incorrect call made. There was clearly not a foul. When you watch the video, the ref that called the foul was blocked out by one of our players. You can't guess at the end of a game. Guys, both teams have played too hard, and we call a phantom foul. These mistakes can't happen. I probably would be frustrated if this was just tonight, but now this is back-to-back nights that this has happened to us.
It also caused Thanasis Antetokounmpo to tweet, "Everyone makes mistakes. Players, coaches, refs, we're all human, but this needs to be explained, especially after 2 games in a row. Thinking emoji."
Did we write the copy for that tweet, by the way? I don't think this show could have imagined a better...
Who knew Thanasis was enlisted in the army? That's
right.
Illuminati.
Well, we've picked up the Thanasis podcast as part of the Count the Dings network.
There you go.
Welcome to another episode of Thanasis Show with your one and only Thanasis Antetokounmpo. Using my radio voice, I'm getting better and better.
You're getting much better
every time I do it.
I got a side quest here, by the way, that Maze discovered. Thanasis Antetokounmpo, as an enlisted member of the Illuminati, follows fellow Greek Tom Haberstroh.
Smart.
Does Tom Haberstroh follow Thanasis back? Separation between the generals and the troops, folks.
Brutal.
Honestly, I didn't know he had a Twitter account. Sorry.
You sent this picture of his tweet.
Well, because I was doing my research, like I always do for this program. I was doing my research, and it did occur to me as I was screen grabbing this and sending it to you guys. I hope they don't notice that little icon says follow back Thanasis Antetokounmpo. This has all been terrible. Surely you guys won't dig up something from my past with regard to this story that will make things come full circle. Surely that won't happen here on this segment.
I wouldn't be so confident about that. And don't call me Shirley, Tom.
What?
Listener, listen up. This is important, okay? I'm going to try to save you some money here. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. You may think like, oh, that's bad. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Here's why I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month. You heard that correctly. $15 per month. Ditch overpriced wireless and the jaw-dropping monthly bills. And of course, there are all these hidden fees and stuff, but at Mint Mobile, plans start at $15 per month. All the plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text. You're not doing like weekend and nighttime minutes or anything like that. And it's delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone. Don't have to get a new phone. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. I switched months ago. People have asked, did you actually switch? Yes, I actually switched months ago, and I don't know what to do with all this extra money. I've cheated the system here. I've rigged something. This is an Ocean's 11 situation where I'm stealing wireless from Mint. That's how good a deal it is. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/dings. That's DINGS. That's mintmobile.com/dings. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Hello, listener. It's Producer Maze here to talk to you about Quince and their cookware. Cooler nights mean cozy meals at home, and Quince's cookware has made fall cooking so much more enjoyable. Their pieces deliver the quality and performance of luxury brands, but at a price that makes sense. And they look gorgeous on the stovetop, too. No matter what item you need to complete your kitchen, Quince has you covered with 5-ply stainless steel pots and pans, nonstick skillets, chef-quality knives, and even ceramic bakeware, which is perfect for cozy casseroles or Sunday roasts. And when you look at these prices, you might think, how is Quince doing this? How do they deliver high-quality items similar to high-end brands that are half the price? Well, let me tell you, they partner directly with ethical top-tier factories to cut out the middlemen and pass the savings on to you. And it's not just cookware. I got myself some bath sheets. That's right. When you're a tall man, you have to use bath sheets, not bath towels from Quince. It's like drying off with a cloud. It's incredible. Upgrade your kitchen for cozy fall meals with premium cookware from Quince. Go to quince.com/dings for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dings, DINGS, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dings. Hello, listener. It's Producer Maze here to talk to you about Kindred. Now, close your eyes like Owen Wilson during a job interview and imagine a way to travel that feels personal, comfortable, and connected without the price tags and the sterile feelings of hotels or short-term rentals. Now open your eyes and stop using your imagination because Kindred has made it very real. That's exactly what they do. Kindred is a members-only home swapping network. It's not a hotel. It's not a short-term rental. It's a smarter way to travel where each stay feels like home. Here's how it works. With Kindred, your home is your ticket. You earn credits by hosting fellow Kindred members, and then you use those credits to stay in over 220,000 homes in more than 100 cities worldwide. There are no hotel costs or rental fees, just the credits that you've earned. Every stay comes with white glove service, 24/7 trip support, and $100,000 in host protection. Make it easier for you to travel and enjoy yourself and not worry about details. I've used Kindred and I found an amazing home for a weekend getaway in an idyllic location with amazing views and great ambiance. It had everything I needed. And the best part was, it cost me $0. So apply now at livekindred.com and use code DINGS to join for free. Plus, you'll earn 5 nights of travel credit just for signing up. That's right, that's 5 whole nights for free at livekindred, KINDRED.com, code DINGS, DINGS, livekindred.com, code DINGS.
Through the Starbucks College Achievement Plan, full and part-time Starbucks baristas receive 100% upfront college tuition coverage so they can focus on achieving their dreams, not how they'll pay for school. And those dreams might start with a degree in management, biochemistry, or any of the more than 150 offered. At Starbucks, benefits like college tuition coverage are just the start. Learn more at starbucks.com/partners.
Experience a membership that backs what you're building with American Express Business Platinum. Unlock over $3,500 in business and travel value annually with statement credits on select purchases from brands like Dell, Hilton, and Adobe, and other benefits. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Based on total potential value of statement credits on select purchases and other benefits, enrollments required, monthly and other limits and terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
Saturday night, the Bucks, they lose on this LaMelo phantom foul.
Well, they didn't lose on the phantom foul because there was still 7 seconds to go after the timeout for them. The play they drew up was throw it to Giannis 23 feet away from the basket and let him create. And he created it to a 15-foot jump shot that missed due to, and I quote from Coach Charles Lee, great shift activity from their defense, whatever the fuck that means.
Mm-hmm. Grant Williams gave him that shot.
No.
Grant Williams was at the basket and was like, hey.
No, Tom, it's shift activity. Shift activity and making sure that Connaughton, who had hit several high quadrant threes, another quote from Charles Lee.
Oh, this is some great jargon.
Oh, my God. Jargon's position was all the rage at Charles Lee's postgame. But you could argue the reason they had to go that route was because they didn't have the services of Damian Lillard, who was taken out by the establishment.
That's a great point, Amin, because Monday night in Dame's first game back from his concussion, he hit a go-ahead layup against the Rockets, down 1 with 3.9 seconds left on the clock.
So that's the end of the story, right?
Nope, not the end of the story, Tom. On this Saturday night, there were 2 other last 2-minute reports that arguably changed the outcome of these games. So in the Celtics-Raptors game, Jason Tatum hit his first ever game-winning buzzer beater in regular season in overtime, tied at 123. However, on Sunday, the NBA announced that he slid his pivot foot before releasing his dribble and traveled.
That's one way to put it. Slid his pivot foot is a very nice, polite way. I put it as cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha. His feet went. You just hold the ball. What are you doing?
My favorite is the video of the play. The ref is just staring at his feet the entire time. It wasn't like this was off camera or anything like that, or the referees were blocked. The guy was staring directly at it. And I'm hearing the Boston fans already in my ear. But wait, the last 2 minutes, the report said there was also a foul on Davion Mitchell when he collided with Jaylen Brown that he should have been, sent to the free throw line for 2 free throws. And this is where I remind folks that the last 2-minute reports are prepared by NBA employees. So they review their own employees, the referees, and then submit that for the public in the name of transparency. However, when you watch that play, the reason why Davion Mitchell ran into Jaylen Brown, pretty sure Al Horford set an illegal screen so that Davion Mitchell's trying to get around it. And Al Horford has his arms out, when he goes into a screen and he kind of has like his elbows out. And Davion Mitchell's trying to avoid that. And so do you see that in the last 2-minute report? The Al Horford illegal screen? No. They choose which actions they want to grade based on the legality of the play. And they did not grade that Al Horford illegal screen anyway. So Jason Tatum, he gets away with it, hits the game-winning shot, game over. That's how the story ends, right?
Nope. The Kings, who defeated the Jazz 121-117, also benefited from 2 missed calls during the final 2 minutes. There's a foul for tripping Lauri Markkanen, which would have sent them to the line in the bonus. And then there was also a foul that should have been called on De'Aaron Fox, who stole the ball from Colin Sexton. Multiple last 2-minute report or pool report corrections on Saturday night. It was quite a Saturday. However, as Amin described the shift activity of the Hornets, LaMelo Ball described it differently.
You said that last play when he took the shot? Yeah, we loaded up. That's what we wanted.
Homophobia.
Homophobia indeed. Also doesn't really make a whole lot of sense there, LaMelo Ball.
Yeah, the double entendre doesn't.
It's the word load.
Okay.
Oh, thanks, Amin.
Got it.
Load.
Appreciate that.
LaMelo Ball got fined $100,000 for saying that.
Yeesh.
That's a little steep for 2 words.
It's pretty stiff. Sorry.
Little steep.
Little steep and stiff all at the same time.
Yep.
But It's because he's become the fourth member of this club.
Which club is that?
The word that was clipped club.
Oh.
He's following Cam Thomas, who was fined $40,000 in February 2023, and Nikola Jokic, who was fined $25,000 in November 2018.
Hold on. Nikola Jokic plays the game?
Nikola Jokic, yes. That made me think that it was outdated that Jokic was saying it in 2018. You got to account for like 10-year delay. You know, Luka Doncic was watching a lot of Friends. That was his favorite show. So you got to expect that. We also have a clip here of Jokic catching himself from reusing it after he was fined.
And Rudy is amazing. He was a defensive player last year, isn't he? Yeah. You know, so he's amazing athlete first of all, and then he's moving his feet well. He's long, so I'm not gonna say. So close.
But it all started with Roy Hibbert getting fined $75,000 in June 2013.
He's the originator.
It's when it started. And this was in the David Stern era, which explains his $75,000 fine as opposed to
versus everybody else's
Jokic's $25,000 fine 5 years later. But it turns out that Roy Hibbert was super mad at some jackass reporter in the audience reminding him that he finished 10th in Defensive Player of the Year voting. Let's roll that clip.
Roy, you finished only 10th in Player of the Year voting. You think that's possible when you alter so many shots?
I mean, you know what? Because y'all motherfuckers don't watch us play throughout the year, to tell you the truth. All right? So that's fine, you know? I'm going to be real with you, and I don't care if I get fined, all right? Because, you know what? We're not on TV all the time. Reporters are the ones that are voting, and you know, it is what it is. And if I don't make it, that's fine. I'm still going to do what I have to do.
Wait a second.
Voice sounds familiar, guys.
Yeah.
We figured it out all the way back to the source, all the way back to the beginning.
It's a full circle.
Tom Haberstroh provoked Roy Hibbert.
No. It starts with Thanasis not being followed back by Tom Haberstroh. And it ends with Tom Haberstroh being the one who set all the wheels in motion more than a decade ago.
Yes, indeed.
All these donations to charity, the $25,000 from Jokic, the $100,000 from LaMelo. Can I take any sort of credit for this, for getting on Roy Hibbert's nerves, and then he makes the comment shortly after I annoy him?
Maze, you know what this means? The call was coming from inside the house.
Inside man Tom Haberstroh made the league a cool $240,000.
Can we get to Brandon Payne already, please? I feel like this is putting the focus on me way too much.
Yeah.
Can we do this?
Yeah, let's take the pressure off of Tom. Let's get to our truth teller.
You all think I'm licked. Well, I'm not licked. And I'm going to stay right here and fight for this lost cause. Even if this room gets filled with lies like these. And the Taylors and all their armies come marching into this place. Somebody will listen to me.
There's no better way to overpower a trickle of doubt than with a flood of naked truth.
But the complexity and the gray lie not in the truth, but what you do with the truth once you have it.
What is true and right is true and right for all.
You and I both know that that's just not the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Too messy. Keeps them up nights. I'm here because in the end, the truth is worth the risk.
Speak a little truth and people lose their minds.
I'm a grown man, you can tell me the truth.
Why is it people who want the truth never believe it when they hear it?
So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something really outrageous. I'm going to tell the truth.
Brandon Payne, welcome back to Basketball Illuminati. How are you, man?
Doing well, guys. Thanks for having me.
We're talking to you just a few days after Steph Curry went night-night again against the Dallas Mavericks, which was 2 nights after he put Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the rest of the Thunder and tucked them in and kissed them goodnight. Bid them farewell as well. 36 points in that game and 37 points in the next game. Brandon, are you surprised that he's still shooting his age? He's 36 and he's scoring 36 every other night, it seems.
No, in terms of him individually, no, I'm not surprised at all. I said several years back that, there was going to be a lot of this. Whoever the guy is keeping up with all the records of this guy is this old and he's the first guy to do this at this age. I was like, we're going to be keeping that guy in business for a while. I'm not surprised at all in terms of his individual performance because we see what goes on in the offseason. We know what he does day to day to be himself. I'm a little bit surprised by their success as a group. We saw that there was going to be some nice depth there. We just weren't quite sure, I think in terms of, from my perspective, how it was all going to fit together. But foolishly, that was me being an idiot and not remembering how great Stephen is, despite the fact that I get to see him every day. And so, he's found a way to really make that work. And those guys have found a way to allow him to be really good as well. And it's a lot of fun to watch.
Brendan, it's different, though. If you look at Steph's numbers, this is the least amount of points he's averaged since his first year as an All-Star, since before he was an All-Star, excuse me. Mm-hmm. He's getting less than 16 shots up a game. Like, this isn't the same Steph we've seen throughout this era of dominance and even the All-Star years before that, but yet it still feels just as dominant as ever.
Well, from my perspective, it's probably the most dominant he's ever been. If you're really watching the games and you're watching his effect on defenses and you're watching just his overall gravity. And we used to talk about his gravity when he moved without the basketball. People always really like to talk about what he did to help defense. But really now, if you look, he's added some other elements. And, I was talking to some guys about this the other day. You see him in these ball screening situations using his eyes to hold defenders in places, to throw these lift passes to guys that are lifting off of the dives. Kind of make the analogy kind of like Tom Brady vision. He's looking the safeties off to create opportunities for guys in other places. And when he's in the game, there's always 5 sets of eyes on him everywhere he goes. And that creates opportunities for teammates. It creates opportunities for other players. I can't say the same for any other players in the NBA, that there's 5 sets of eyes on you everywhere you go at all times. So he has a control over the game that I haven't even seen him have in the past. It's like he's orchestrating everything. And it's a lot of fun to watch, because as I'm going back and I'm watching these things, some things I'm not even seeing during the game while it's happening. But when I go back and watch them, you see all the things that he's creating because of his presence and is creating opportunities for his teammates. And these are guys that are hungry for opportunities, and they're taking advantage of those opportunities. And again, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Is that a deliberate thing that he's tried to hone over the years? Or it sounds crazy that even you're noticing this for the first time. You're saying, like, how does that come about?
We've always used this term, he's patiently aggressive. He's patiently aggressive in terms of scoring. So he's waiting for the game plan, discipline of the game to kind of dissipate a little bit before he really starts to attack, which is why you see a lot of big second and third quarters. Everybody in the first quarter is amped up to guard you. Everybody remembers exactly what was on the scouting report in the first quarter. As the game goes, that tends to drift a little bit. But, now I think that you see him, he understands the need for all 5 players on the floor to be a threat at all times. And in order to win, all 5 guys have to be a threat. And you even look back, there was a sequence in the Olympics I'll look back to where Jason Tatum came into a game. I can't remember if it was the semifinals or the finals. Stephen stole a ball and he had a direct path layup to the basket with nobody in front of him. Jason Tatum was actually behind him when he stole the ball, but Jason Tatum was out there. Instead of Stephen taking the layup, he threw it up. He gave it up to Jason Tatum to get Jason Tatum going. Again, that's the thought process is there. We need all 5 guys out here to get going to win this game. And I think that he just values winning so much and he loves winning. He's one of the most fiery, aggressive competitors. He's the most competitive person I've ever met. And he hates to lose and he loves to win. And above all else right now, he wants to win. And so he wants to make sure everybody's involved. He wants to make sure that everybody's a threat. And then when everybody's a threat, it makes his job easier.
Brandon, where did you grow up?
Charlotte.
So in Charlotte, you go out and you see a lot of Wake Forest stuff, right?
I saw some Saturday night. They didn't do very well, but I was there Saturday night.
Oh, come on now.
I got your ass.
That's a dig. We got our asses beat by UNC. Nice work. What I was trying to get at, though, was I was giving you a layup. Damn it. Brandon, you were raised as a UNC fan. I actually was a UNC fan growing up myself. This whole Michael Jordan story that I wrote this offseason, I hadn't actually talked to you about it. But I do know that this past week, I called Stephen Curry the greatest offensive player since Michael Jordan over at Yahoo Sports. I don't know how that landed with you, Brandon, because you grew up a huge fan of Michael Jordan and also you're working, consistently over the last decade with Stephen Curry. And you just said he is as good as he's been or as dominant offensively as he's ever been, that you've ever seen him play. So when you see me make that kind of superlative that Stephen Curry is the best offensive player since Michael Jordan, you say what?
I say you're close. I think he's better. And, I think he's better because, here goes Amin. The Rambling Wreck guy over here is surprised. And it's not because he's a better one-on-one basketball player or because he's a better scorer or anything like that. I just think that he has a bigger impact on his teammates now. And that's certainly no dig at anybody. I mean, when you start talking about Stephen Curry, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Kevin Durant, LeBron, you're splitting hairs here of the greatest of the great who are already incredible in every aspect of the game. Michael, to me, was a guy who transformed his game maybe better than anybody in the history of the sport, going from a guy that was an attack downhill to coming back and really mastering that mid-range and really mastering scoring in different ways. And this is not to say that Michael didn't get his teammates involved, because he did. I just feel like the way the game is now, and we're stretched out so far, playing 35, 40 feet from the basket, and you have to defend that far out now. I feel like Stefan's had a pretty big impact on that. The fact that you have to defend so far away from the basket, creating so much more space you have to cover. And I feel like Stephen makes you defend 40 by 50. So he makes you defend out to 40 feet, and he forces you to defend 50 feet wide. I don't know that Michael did that. I don't know that anybody else has done that. And I think that he completely changes the way that you have to defend teams in the half court. Again, that's not to say Michael wasn't great. I was raised thinking that the sun rose on Michael's command and it set on Dean Smith's command. So, it's certainly not a dig at Michael Jordan or anything like that. I just think that he's changed so much of how we approach everything about basketball now. And he dominates. He dominates without the ball. He dominates with the ball. He dominates as a screener. There's so many things that he does well that other guys haven't always done as well. And I just think the total package and the total combination combined with the success that he's having, to me, makes him the best.
I mean, the pushback that I've received on that post that I did is that he's not a great passer like LeBron is, or he doesn't shoot on command, get over the defense like Kevin Durant. But my thing is, yes, LeBron is, in terms of him passing the ball, might be better than Stephen Curry. But Stephen Curry creates as many, if not more, easy baskets for his teammates as LeBron James does through his passing.
Yeah.
Talk about gravity assist. The idea is like you run any action with Stephen Curry off the ball, and then a guy like Sean Livingston or Andre Iguodala or Moses Moody can get a wide open layup because everyone's so paranoid about Stephen Curry. Steph's not getting the assist there, but he is the reason why they're getting easy buckets.
Tom, I've told this story before. One of the greatest things I've ever seen, this was maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, was Warriors Clippers. And Andre was the trigger man, and it was an under out of bounds play, 3 seconds to go in the game or whatever. Draymond on the strong side sets the screen. Steph flares out to three-point line. Chris Paul's guarding Steph. He locks and trails. DeAndre Jordan's guarding Draymond. He jumps towards the corner to pick up Steph on the other side. And then the man who's guarding the inbound, he shades to the side to stop the pass going to the corner. Draymond slips. He goes out of Draymond Green layup. Game over. They gave up a wide open layup because they were so determined that he's not going to get that three. And I said, that's one of the greatest plays I've ever seen of all time, because Steph gets zero credit for that. There's nothing in the box score is going to say other than a +2 in the plus minus, but everybody got one of those. There's nothing to say. That's all because of him. And so I get what you're saying, Brandon, when you say his gravity does something that I don't know any other player in NBA history has that kind of impact.
I see that a lot. I mean, you're exactly right. The threat of him makes them so different, and they're so much better when he's on the floor because of the threat of him. And that leads to things like what we call sacrifice cutting, where Stephen cuts through knowing I'm not going to get the basketball, but my cut is going to not only take my man, but my cut is going to draw help by one step. So I'm going to sacrifice myself and create an opening for somebody else.
I like that.
The hockey assist is real big for us. He passes to the passer that makes the assist. You see him a lot of times pointing out 2 passes ahead where the ball should get to. I've got some good clips of that as well. He's just thinking the game at a different speed. He's thinking the game at a different level. And for me, it's really fun to watch because that's what we've worked on since 2011. We've worked on the ability to slow the game down mentally. We've worked on the ability to process multiple sources of information all at the same time while you're executing a skill. These are things that we've worked on for years and years and years with today in mind. When we first started working together, I told Stefan the idea behind the majority of what we do is to make sure if it ever comes to a point to where you lose a step, we can mentally make up for it by being more efficient and quicker thinkers. So while you're still full speed, we're playing above your physical ceiling. And then if you happen to lose a step, which he has not yet, you're still playing at your ceiling because you're playing the game mentally faster. And that's been the goal of everything we've done since 2011. And it's kind of fun to watch it, to be honest with you.
This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like expecting the leadership of a team captain on the football field, but getting a sea captain. You wouldn't settle for just anything for your team. Shouldn't it be the same for your insurance? So don't settle for just any insurance when you can go with a leader. State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
For a limited time at McDonald's, get a Big Mac Extra Value Meal for $8. That means 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, and medium fries, and a drink. We may need to change that jingle.
Prices and participation may vary.
This episode is brought to you by Nature's Bounty. Nature's Bounty believes your body is brilliant, naturally designed to thrive, inside and out. For those always looking for new ways to support your health from head to heels, Nature's Bounty has a range of over 400 vitamins and supplements born from 50 years of trust and care. Nature's Bounty. It's in your nature. Visit naturesbounty.com to learn more.
Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
Are you a forward thinker? Then you need an HR and finance platform that thinks like you do. Workday is the AI platform that helps propel your organization, your workforce, and your industry into the future. Workday, moving business forever forward.
Now, he's getting up there in age, like we said at the top, 36 years old. That's usually when most Hall of Famers are already hanging him up and retiring, getting into coaching or whatever they do after their playing days are done. But Steph is still playing 29 minutes a game. The offensive rating of the Warriors when he's on the floor is 123 points. That on-court offensive rating is the 5th highest in the NBA. The 4 highest players on the leaderboard here are Nikola Jokic in his prime, Darius Garland on a 15-0 team, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, the most dominant offensive explosion last year, going to the NBA Finals and winning it. Those are the 4 names that are above Stephen Curry, how efficient their teams are when they are on the floor. And I'm pretty sure Stephen Curry doesn't have another Jason Tatum that he can go to on his team, or Donovan Mitchell that Darius Garland has, or 2 bigs who are excellent around the basket in Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. And Jokic, he might be all said and done the greatest offensive player ever if he keeps this up. But the breathing exercises you do with Stephen Curry, he's only playing 29 minutes a game. How much does he, in those 29 minutes, get the most, maximize the most out of those 29 minutes so that he is making himself not 36 years old, but 26 years old? Breathing is a big part of this that I don't think people realize, that you are working with him on that sort of element of basketball that is an integral part of why Stephen Curry is as good as he is.
29 minutes a game, you're getting a lot of rest. So, I mean, all the breathing and all the things that we did was designed to be for a guy that was playing, 36 to 40 minutes a game, and to really be able to slow things down in that last 4 or 5 minutes. I always used to tell him, everybody makes good decisions in the first quarter. I don't really care who makes good decisions in the first quarter. I need guys that make great decisions in the last 3 or 4 minutes of the fourth quarter. Those are the guys that really matter. So everything we did was kind of geared up to that. With him playing this low in minutes, really you're getting a supercharged version of him in those minutes, because he knows, I can really step on the gas playing less minutes. I enjoy the fact that he's only playing 29 minutes a game. I don't know that the fans enjoy that, but I really enjoy that he's only out there for 29 minutes, because I know the cumulative effect of saving that 8 minutes over these first 40 games, hopefully maybe 50 games, is a big benefit to us down the stretch. But yeah, I mean, breathing, it just goes back to being a guy that works with great purpose. We don't work on things just to work on them. Everything that he does every day has great purpose to it. And what makes him such an incredible worker, he doesn't work himself into the ground. What makes him a great worker is that he's taken the time to learn about his body. He's taken the time to learn about the systems within his body, how they work together, and how they work together to become the best version of himself.
Should you breathe through your nose or your mouth when you're playing basketball? I'm trying to be like Steph. How would I do that?
Well, so when you sit down, we have these different techniques where we could try to get his heart rate down. And Carl Bergstrom's our strength guy that helps out with us a lot and is with Stefan all the time, just like I am. They call it box breathing. They do a box breathing technique where they'll breathe in deeply. They hold it for a few seconds, breathe in deeply again before the big exhale, and you'll see a pretty significant drop. Even for people like us who are mere mortals, you will even see a drop in your heart rate if you go through a box breathing exercise like that. But for somebody like Stefan, who's just an incredibly well-conditioned, from a cardiovascular standpoint, athlete, I mean, it has a huge effect. I mean, they're dropping massive numbers. And that's what we look at. In the off season, when we're shooting, we do heart rate match shooting. So we don't do a lot of shooting at low heart rates because it doesn't have a lot of value. I'm a good shooter at low heart rate. If you watch me shoot standing still, you would say, why are you doing this and not still playing? But obviously there's more to the game than that. So we'll do a little bit of form shooting at a low heart rate, but we do heart rate shooting matching. But then what we do once we get them up to that high heart rate is we're constantly measuring the amount of time it takes for him to get his heart rate back down close to normal, because that tells us how well conditioned we are. We typically try to do it in a 2.5 to 3 minute stretch. How quickly can you drop in that 2.5 to 3 minutes? Because we're trying to simulate end of quarter timeout situations, occasional free throw situation where there's a 30-second timeout attached to it, things like that, because we're trying to simulate as much as we can game conditions and how quickly you can get it back down. The lower you can keep that heart rate in those situations, the more functionally available oxygen you have available to your brain to make decisions. We're looking for every detail, because when you're not 6'9", and when you're not a super athlete, like, you've got to find everything you can to make you better. And at some point, it will all make a difference.
Brandon, we talk about the minutes being down, the shots being down. Was that the plan coming in this season, or was this something that Coach Kerr and the staff realized, oh, we're really good, we don't need to lean on him as much, so we can be more judicious with his involvement?
I don't think we had a plan per se for that. Like, we didn't really say, hey, we're going to knock your shot attempts down. You got to figure out how to be the best Stephen Curry within the identity of the new group you had. It's still a relatively new group, and they're still figuring out how to play with each other. Stephen had a very big emphasis on making sure that he was complimenting Buddy Hield as well as he could. Once we knew that that was going to be a part of the mix, and figuring that out. And Buddy's a guy that needs some shots. He needs some shots. He can knock it down too. So making sure that he's getting enough shots, making sure you're creating the right opportunities for him. And then you got some other guys that are pretty good on that roster that need some shots too. I think that you look at Brandon Pajemski and his plus minus, and some of the, like, he's got a really nice plus minus. He makes a lot of really good basketball plays. And he's a guy that's going to shoot it better as the year goes. They've got a lot of really nice pieces that might not have fit on some other rosters, but on this particular roster is looking like it's pretty good. I think that he understands that he doesn't have to carry the load from a scoring standpoint until he needs to. It's funny, before they played Oklahoma City last week and before they played the Mavericks, I sent somebody in our circle of people, I sent them a text. I was like, I think you're going to see a little bit more of a aggressive scorer tonight, just because of the situation and who they were playing.
Yeah, can you break that down a little bit more? He did shout into the camera quite ferociously after that big shot. What was that about, Brandon?
Again, he's an unbelievably fiery competitor. You don't see it because he's not that way all the time, but he loves winning. And I think that he felt like people were doubting them coming into this season. And I think that right now, it's reminding everybody how great he is and how good they really are. And they're pretty good. And I think that you're seeing them and him gain confidence as the season's going. And I think you see that coming out in some of that expression in that particular game. And that was a highly charged, that was an emotional game. I don't even know how they got through that, man.
I felt like a playoff game. It was awesome.
Yeah, it did. That's the only thing I texted him after that game. I said, that's a playoff type win. That was a playoff type win tonight. It was a lot of fun to watch.
It is the Emirates NBA Cup.
That was an NBA Cup win.
Yeah.
It's obviously a raised level of competition. But
sure.
Last year, Brandon, they had a depth issue last year. They had similar depth, but it seemed like they weren't playing the right guys at the right time, or certain guys weren't getting enough minutes. Moses Moody was a big one. Everybody wanted more Moody minutes, but he wasn't finding him. They were talking about doing a consolidation trade for Lauri Markkanen this summer. How has the depth been a strength this year as opposed to last year? What have you noticed that's changed?
A couple of things. People underestimate how important it is for guys to get a year older. Jonathan Kuminga's a year older. Moses Moody's a year older. Those guys got another year under their belt. Brandon Podziemski had another year. He understood what he was getting into. Trace Jackson Davis, one more year into this thing. And then you add some veterans that have had some success, and it's just a good mix. I mean, I think that we've fallen into a trap around the NBA of expecting first and second year guys to make really, really big impacts. And I don't think we should anymore. The game is so different. They might physically be able to do it, but being able to think and execute at the NBA level is a very different thing. As a matter of fact, I think most American players actually come in with a disadvantage now from that standpoint, because quite frankly, we do a very poor job of preparing our players in the United States to play NBA basketball. European players come in much more intelligent with a higher IQ and a much better understanding of what it's like to execute in professional settings. So our American players come in a little bit disadvantaged from that standpoint because they all want to rely on their ability. But getting those guys 1 year older, adding veterans that have had individual success and putting them in a situation where they have the potential for team success, that motivates a lot of guys. You're seeing just a really good mix of guys fitting together. Like I said, they might not have all fit in other places. Like I look at Buddy Hield, he was out of the rotation. He wasn't playing very much towards the end there. And now they don't really want to play without him. It's a really nice mix.
Brandon, there was a clip of Gilbert Arenas talking that I saw where he was aggravated that young players don't shoot with their heart rate up, or at least he's like, these guys, they do shooting drills, but they're walking into the gym, getting their shots up and then walking out. You need to simulate how tired you are in an NBA game to get the same sort of benefit. And then there was another clip. It was Andre Iguodala telling Carmelo Anthony how hard Corey Maggette would go in workouts. And that's the first guy that Andre Iguodala remembered being like, oh, that's how hard you have to work in order to make it in the NBA in your workouts. I know Steph Curry has these infamous workouts and how hard he goes. You've talked about how players have vomited, needed to leave to go throw up because it's just so strenuous. Is there a player that you look at in the NBA that you're like, I really want to see what Steph and that guy do in a workout together?
Wow, Tom, that's a really great question. That's one I've never thought about. It's never crossed my mind.
Like LeBron, has he ever worked out with LeBron in like a one-on-one setting in a gym?
No, but I think that would be a lot of fun. I mean, I think that any of those guys that are at the top would enjoy, because I think that they would enjoy coming into the environment that we kind of set up for our workouts. Our workouts are not thrown together. We're not doing drills for the sake of doing drills. We have a plan in mind, but our plan is not that day. Our plan, takes into account what we're trying to accomplish, not only in this off season, but how many more years do you want to play? So, we have a big plan and we have a short-term plan, and it all kind of fits together that way. But I mean, Stephen loves for guys to come into our work. We've had guys come in. Stephen relishes the opportunity to teach. He's a teacher. And I like it when he teaches because he tends to work a little bit harder when we got some other guys in there. Trey's come into a lot of our workouts in the past. We always try to bring in the young guys or the rookies that are coming in for the Warriors. We try to bring them in for a week or so at a time. I haven't thought specifically about any guys I'd like to come in. We've had camps before where we've had, De'Aaron Fox and Scoot and a bunch of players come through, and they all end up just sitting and watching for a little while. They all end up watching. And again, it's not that we're going at this incredible pace for this really extended time. It's just that when we do go game speed, it is game speed, not this fake hustle game speed. A lot of guys like to talk about game speed, but it's kind of like I'm almost going game speed, and they really don't have the accountability tools in place to figure out if they are going game speed, because without that heart rate monitor up on the board for us, we don't know if he's going game speed either. kind of like the eye in the sky doesn't lie. The heart rate monitor doesn't lie. We know when you're getting uncomfortable, when you're not. And I've always said that the hardest thing for NBA players to do, and basketball players in general to do, the hardest thing for them to do is to look in the mirror and be honest and give themselves a really honest assessment of what you do well, what you didn't do well. And can you do that every single day? And there's still a lot of young players in the league that struggle with that because they've never been forced to do it. They've only been told how great they are all the time. And I think that's what kind of separates Stephen is the fact that each day we do step back and think, what did we do well today? What did we not do well? And then what can we do to correct what we didn't do well? Maybe was it our preparation? Was it our planning? Was it my fault? Did I plan it out of sequence? You have to be able to do those things in order to improve. And a lot of players really struggle with that.
Brandon, one of my favorite stats about Steph was the year he won unanimous MVP. I asked people, what do you think was the most amazing thing about that year? And they're like, oh, he led the league in scoring and was 50, 40, 90. While leading the league in scoring. I was like, that's pretty incredible. And led the league in scoring while playing like 33 minutes a game. I'm like, that's pretty incredible. I think the most incredible thing was, and it never gets mentioned, he led the league in steals that year. Mm-hmm. Fast forward, this year, he's having a tremendous year. He's third, I want to say. I know Dyson Daniels is off to a crazy start to the year, but we're at a place now where Steph, when he's healthy, routinely ranks among the top in steals. If you want to use more advanced analytics than that, you go by estimated plus minus. He's constantly a positive on the defensive end. Why do you think people still don't look at him as not even like a good defensive player, a competent defensive player?
Yeah, and that's always kind of bothered me. And I think this because there's this misconception that being a good defensive player means that you're a good one-on-one defensive player. And the reality is in the NBA, you can be a great defensive player, but the guy with the ball is probably going to be able to beat you one-on-one a lot of times. That's just how good they are. Mm-hmm. Great defense is played within a team concept. And one of the things that Stephen has always been very, very good at doing is recognizing and diagnosing action before it happens. So you might not see him in this lockdown defensive effort, meaning we call it shrinking and squeezing, where you shrink the floor to one side and you squeeze the ball to the sideline.
Yeah.
That's hard to do, right? But when you're defending within a team concept and you can blow actions up before they can happen, or you actually prevent action away from the ball from happening, you're doing your job. You're doing a really good job because you're making it harder for the other team to operate offense. And I think that you would find league-wide that he makes it hard for other teams to operate their offense because he diagnoses and blows things up, and he's a great communicator. But like anybody, you're going to have some time where you're going to get scored on. I tell people all the time, the other team gets paid too, and those guys make a little bit of money too, and they're pretty good. And the rules are a little bit slanted towards guys with the ball having success.
Mm-hmm.
While he doesn't have this incredible length or this overwhelming physical presence defensively, he is thinking constantly. He's always doing a great job of thinking and being out in front and anticipating, and that's where you see a lot of those steals happening.
You're the coach for your sons, and I'm wondering the impact of Stephen Curry on the game of basketball. Forget whether he's better than Michael. Do you feel some sort of responsibility or accountability for the way that the game...
You ruined it. Tom is saying on behalf of all parents in America, you guys ruined basketball because our kids just want to shoot threes.
I didn't say that, Amin. You're putting words in my mouth now.
There's not a weekend that goes by that I don't hear how terrible I am for basketball. I mean, there's not a weekend that goes by that I'm terrible for basketball. We were terrible for the youth. Everybody wants to shoot threes. And I'm like, no, I mean, if you really look at it, we actually made driving to the basket easier. Because if you play off your jump shot and you use the space that's provided to you, offensive basketball just got a whole lot simpler. If you go back and watch some films, speaking of Dean Smith and Michael Jordan, I went back and watched Michael Jordan's very first game against Kansas in Charlotte, the old Charlotte Coliseum in 1981. And if you watch that game, Kansas played a 2-3 zone with one defender at one elbow, the other defender at the other elbow, a 7-footer in the middle of the paint, one defender at the block, and the other defender at the block. And there was nowhere to go. There was nowhere to go.
Packed up.
It was the ugliest, most boring thing I'd ever watched in my life. Now we've made it to where you got all this space to operate. All you got to be able to do is put on the floor, get to the basket. It makes the game simpler for you. I hear it a lot, but again, it's how you use it. If you're just going to sit out there and just shoot, yeah, I can see where we ruined it. But the reality is we made it easier for big guys to operate without crash help coming, without dig help coming. We made it easier for split action to operate by taking everything away from the basket. So you got to cover the basket and you got to cover the perimeter. we put defenses in conflict all the time.
Well, I always point to this stat is that in his 2 MVP years, he had more 2s than 3s. Mm-hmm. If you point to Stephen Curry as just a 3-point shooter, you're ignoring how it plays off of his rim attacks and his finishing ability and his ability to get in the mid-range. He is still getting 2-pointers at a high rate. And that's a huge element of why Stephen Curry is so hard to guard, is because if you run him off that 3-point line, he's going to make you pay one way or the other.
Yeah. And, he's very hard to guard because he can space in both directions, right? He can space by getting to the rim and he can space by continuing to back up. And it's hard to guard that when you're worried about either him stepping back or him going by you. You're constantly in a position where you're thinking. And the thing that we've always talked about is my goal as a basketball coach, basketball trainer, is to always put defenses in a place where they're thinking. We want to turn basketball players into thinkers, because when you make athletes think, it slows them down. They're not playing off of instinct. They're not playing off of athletic ability. They're having to diagnose, they're having to think, and they're having to react based off of what they're seeing. So you cause them to slow down just a little bit. And even if it's just a half a step they slow down, that half a step is the difference between a contested shot and an uncontested shot. Those are the things we're trying to create.
He's just creating basketball thoughts out there. Thoughts per 36 minutes. We need that stat now. Is offensive players that create more thoughts for defenders than anybody else. And that, in many ways, is why Steph is so great. Is he's just creating a bunch of thinkers.
I'm telling you, Tom. I've seen 3 defenders all decide that's where we need to defend. The corner 3, not this wide open layup under the basket.
Makes a difference.
Brandon, appreciate you coming on Illuminati and opening up our third eyes on the sport of basketball. And you are saying that you are not responsible for ruining the game of basketball. You're just making a lot more thinking basketball players. Yeah?
I'm trying to make it easier for everybody. I'm just trying to make it easier.
Thank you, Brandon.
What a guy. NBC got Round Ball Rock back, and ESPN got the Mound Round of Rebound. The Mound Round, or the Round Mound of Rebound.
I should call NBC. There's a part of me that's like, I don't give a shit. And then there's a part of me like, you know what? You know what makes me want to work for NBC? It's going to sound stupid. It's Round Ball Rock. So that I can do whatever studio show, and when they're playing that music, I can go, blah, 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 basketball, give me the ball. So I could just dunk it.
It's like DoubleTree with the cookies. I just want to stay at a DoubleTree because of the cookies. I'll pay whatever it is. But if they give me one of those warm chocolate chip cookies at the front.
They have at the drawer, right? Like they have a warming drawer in the front desk.
A little warm oven at the front desk.
It's kind of weird when you think about it.
Which I'm sure is clean and everything's been hyper tended to. But that's the same thing, is you're going to go to NBC because of a song.
Because of a song.
For free. You'll work there for free because of this song.
For free. I'll do it for free. Just pay for my flights.
Welcome back inside the NBA. You never left. Congrats to the worldwide leader in bringing back Inside the NBA. And congrats to the whole team at the Inside the NBA set. That is an awesome story that they're going to be taken care of. Charles, welcome back.
For now.
Oh, yeah.
Till the next retirement announcement.
Yeah, till the next retirement.
See you next fall.